A smartphone that unfolds? Let's check it out. Dave Taylor here, checking out this. This is the Google Pixel Fold Android smartphone, and it's pretty cool. The most obvious and amazing thing about it is that it unfolds and then you get a double-sized screen. It's pretty spectacular. Now, when you have the double-sized screen on, the single screen turns off, but that's okay. And not only that, but you can actually adjust it. Let's get that out of the way there. And you can adjust it so you can have it standing up, which makes it, for example, a screen to watch and a keyboard to tap, or obviously it's great for selfies. Now, I got a lot of demos to show you of photos and videos and night sight and all sorts of stuff. But let's go through some basic specs first. So it is a 5.8-inch display, 7.6 OLED display, FHD plus. We had 408 pixels per inch, 120 hertz refresh rate. The internal folding screen is 2208 by 1840 pixels. And then the external screen, which every time I close it, it wants to just turn off, which is a little annoying, but it is a 2092 by 1080 screen. So this is actually a really nice screen too. And one thing I will mention is that their fingerprint sensor is actually on the power button on the side, which takes a little getting used to if you've used other Pixel phones in the meantime. So, Corning Gorilla Victus. It's powered by the Google Tensor G2 chip. It's a 2 octa-core. Actually, it's an octa-core with 2 at 2.7 gigahertz, 2 at 2.3 gigahertz, and 4 processors at 1.94 gigahertz. It's pretty zippy, actually. I've found that it works pretty darn fast. It's really a nice Pixel phone with this amazing additional feature that it can open up and be a lot bigger. So, Android 13, 12 gig of RAM, 256 gig or 512 gig of storage. There's no external, there's no micro SD card. This is what you get. So hopefully that's going to work. But, you know, with the cloud, it feels like that's probably plenty of space. The split screen can let you run 2 apps at once. And typically to get there, you just go up. Come on, there we go. And then it actually offers split. And then I can just pick a second app. And now you can see I have YouTube running on this side. And I have photos running a replay of a screen record on the other side, which, you know, not necessarily my favorite 2 apps, but it's actually pretty cool to be able to do that. In practice, how often will you do that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much we've missed that functionality in the single screen display, but it is interesting to see how Google's trying to figure out, all right, well, now we have this new display with these new features. What can we do with it? So, the most important thing here is the hinge, and they seem to have done a really nice job with this hinge. This is a stainless steel hinge, and when you open it up, it's not quite flat. I am afraid we push it down and it'll become just about flat, but not 100%, but close enough probably that you won't notice. And of course, then there's no seam here, so it is really literally a seamless screen experience because the screen actually is folding, which means that is a wear point, and the jury is out on how these are going to last over multiple years. But I will say I've been playing with this for a couple of weeks and I've been using it a lot. And, you know, I haven't noticed any issues with wear or dust getting in edges or anything. So that's nice. Now, camera-wise, this has the usual array of great Pixel cameras. I will say that one of the things Google does really well is it packs a bunch of great cameras into this device. So on the rear facing, and by the way, notice I put a green case on it. And the case is kind of interesting because the back piece is sort of a typical case, but then the front part, since it's a screen on both sides, what they have for the case, if we can call it that, is literally just an edge, and then there's adhesive. So it actually like sort of glues, maybe not glues, but it sticks onto the phone. So when I open it all the way, then it's almost fully covered all the non-screen part is almost fully covered by the case. I think they did a really nice job with that, but that's why it might look slightly different to some of the photos you've seen. Now, on the camera side, on the back, the rear-facing cameras, and it's hard to say rear-facing or front-facing because you open it up, right? So, on the rear-facing, you have a 10.8 megapixel ultra-wide at f2.2, a 48 megapixel wide at f1.7, and a 10 megapixel 4.5x telephoto at f3. And then the front-facing, and it's hard to know whether they mean this front-facing or the front-facing that's here, and it's absolutely invisible. You can't really tell where the camera is, but there's an internal 8 megapixel f2.0 camera, and in fact, actually, I guess that's this internal one, and then the exterior one, which would be here, is a 9.5 megapixel f2.2. That's a lot of cameras, it's a lot of specs. Let's actually just jump in. I have a ton of photo demos, so let's do that, starting with this wide angle photo. I put the Google Fold on a tripod for almost all of these photos, as you'll see. So this is wide angle, then here's normal zoom and 5x zoom. Here's a close-up. As always, Google does a great job with its close-ups, a long exposure. And then I went into night sight, which is always really fun. They've done such a marvelous job with this. So here's a couple of houses on my street, and this was taken at midnight. So it was very dark other than the ambient lighting of people's houses. Then here's a shot of the sky. I just pointed it at the sky. It told me it needed 5 minutes to collect sufficient data to take this photo, and what a photo it got. And then one more example is here's another street view. And I also want to show you when you take these long night sight exposures, it actually saves a small sequence of images as a video. So here's that video. Now I slowed this way down because it only lasts a couple of seconds. So I slowed it down so you can see. And then again, here's the image that was produced. Very, very slick. Now on the video side, I'm going to actually just let you watch wide angle. And then 1x zoom, 5x zoom, slow motion, time lapse, and then I played around with the selfie camera that's internal when you fold the phone 90 degrees. So here's 2 examples of that. By contrast, I've opened the camera up to 90 degrees, and now I'm using the internal selfie camera, and you can see it's having a really hard time with this lighting situation, but overall it's pretty cool how it just sits there and you can see yourself even as you're recording. So let me see if I can get better lighting so we can do an even better sample. This lighting's a bit better, so we're getting a little better results, but it is pretty interesting that this internal camera seems to be a lot more sensitive to bright and darker areas than all the other cameras that are on the phone. So there's the demo. What do you think? One of the other cool things about the Google Pixel Fold is it's IPX8 waterproof. So if you have this at the pool and someone splashes you without realizing you're busy taking your next great selfie, not a stress point. It's okay. It also features a 4821 milliamp hour battery, which gives you 24 to 30 hours of battery life. As always, it depends on how bright your screen is. It depends on what you're doing. It depends on what apps you're running. Let me unlock this again. It does tend to lock fast. I know that's an Android setting, just haven't tweaked it. What else can I tell you is that when it is folded, it is 5.5 inches by 3.1 inch by half an inch. So it's fairly thick because it's literally 2 phones stacked on top of each other. And then when you open it up, then it is 5.5 inches by 6.2 inches by a 1/4 inch thick. That math makes sense, right? And it's 10 ounces, so it's, pretty typical. It's a little heavier than a regular Pixel phone because it's literally 2 phones in one. Now, comes in a bunch of different colors, and then these cases, the Pixel Fold case is pretty spendy at $59.99, but the phone's really expensive, and that's something that we need to talk about. But before I get to the price, I'm going to ask if you could subscribe to my channel. Click or tap on that subscribe button, and if you found this useful and interesting, go ahead and give me a thumbs up or a like. Really appreciate when you do that. Great. Now, the Google Pixel Fold. Not much else in the box, I will tell you. It's just a charging cable and a SIM removal tool and the phone, and it's a gorgeous piece of engineering. I just want to say it's really cool. In fact, let me before we go too far, let me give you a couple of quick demos of things. So let's see, I can go up and I'll go to YouTube and I'll go here. So this is a soccer match, but if I turn it sideways and then I fold it, tell me that's not really neat. This is a really cool way to watch something while you're doing something else, or maybe you just want to watch some video, and in this instance what you can do is you can say, hey, finally I don't have to tilt it against something and watch it slide down. I can just get it to the optimal viewing angle and I'm good to go. And as I said before, you can also swipe up and you can get to a mode. Let's see, it's got an insert there, but you can get to a mode where you actually have split screen where you can have multiple things going on. Now, one of the other things I thought was really fun is if we go to the calculator, check this out. The calculator's actually been rewritten for the Pixel Fold, and if I turn it sideways, it's even more functionality. That's really cool. It's like two entirely different kind of calculators that both then, if I close it, I'm just gonna go to sleep again. I'm sure there's a setting to turn that off. Now I get to the sort of smaller calculator view that you might be used to, but that big calculator screen view is pretty slick. I know, really, of all the things I could demo, I'm showing you the calculator. But I like the calculator. So in general, there's a lot of really cool engineering here. They really thought through the interface and trying to figure out, what do you do with this bigger screen? You know, whether it's something you'll use over time or whether you'll end up having it like this, or you'll just have one big app and you'll just say, this is just like having a little tiny Google Pixel tablet. You know, all of those use cases are entirely fine. I don't think the company really cares as long as you're enjoying your phone. But then we get to the price. So this is a very expensive phone. This is the Google Pixel Fold Android smartphone, and it is only 256 gig of storage, and it's still $1,879.99. Or if you go through AT&T, and AT&T loaned me this phone for all this review, super appreciate it. AT&T is also offering the phone for $25 a month for 36 months, which is a pretty good deal. You can check all that out at att.com. You can also go to Google's website and see what the options are there for a completely unlocked phone. But either way, by the time you get the phone and the case, and maybe you get a pair of the Google Pixel Buds or something, you're looking at $2,000 for this device. And you can't help asking, is it really worth $2,000 to have this? Yes, you'd be the first one on the street and you would be one of the cool kids with the cool new device. But I feel like these folds are the kind of technology in search of a problem. I really like my current smartphones. I really like my Pixel phones. They have great cameras. The screen seems plenty big enough. If I need a bigger screen, I just go to a bigger device. So this tries to sort of sidestep all of that. And whether that's something that you need is up to you, but just realize you're spending a whole heck of a lot of cash to be able to pick up one of these, however you do slice it. And as with these different devices, how this fold is going to work with the hinge and the screen, what that's going to look like in a year, well, we'll have to see how that plays out, because right now, I'm not sure that I personally would invest this much money in a smartphone. Your choice is up to you. If you have the money and you look at this and you say, oh, wow, that's amazing, and it really is in a lot of ways an amazing device, then it's something you should definitely check out. That's all I got. I hope you found this interesting, useful, informative. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you wish I would have also covered And that's all I got. So I'll catch you in my next video.